Alrighty, welcome to Sweat Capital. Thanks for joining us today, lads. Will and Dimitri, good to see you both.
You do, Charlie, in the studio here in Newstead, so it's a nice little setup. Hopefully the audio quality is better than it has been.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, we'll certainly put enough work into it, haven't we? So, no, it's good. And Dimitri, pleasure to be down in your neck of the woods, mate.
It's great to have you here, lads. It's, always a pleasure.
Good one. Good
Yeah,
one.
so it's good. We're all here. We're excited to announce something a bit new. So we're going through a bit of a rebrand at the moment. We're changing the business to Sweat Capital. As you sort of know, as our current listeners know, Charlie and I have been running this the past 2 years. It's a bit of a passion project. So we're sort of keen to take it to the next level and turn things up to 100.
Yeah, no, and to save any people who may have fallen off their chairs just then, I think we'll get. So I think a bit of background on sort of the story, because I think that is sort of useful. In painting the picture as to where we're going as well. So I think obviously, when was it, Will? That we got started
2.5 years ago now.
Yeah, 2.5 years. You said, yeah. So look, it's been a long time coming. Learning sort of the ins and outs of the podcast world. There's a lot to know. We've made every single mistake that you could possibly make, and we continue to, of which we've probably made 4 mistakes in this recording so far today. And I think that's all part of sort of what we're trying to build, and it's that whole thesis of deploying your time and effort into like we sort of internally do this thing called Project Kaizen, continuous improvement, as part of our thing. And Will and I did a bit of reflecting sort of together, and we're like, well, we've probably maxed out where we could get to ourselves with the passion project side of things. And we almost felt a sense of responsibility to ourselves and to people who have supported us to sort of see what we can make of the business of. And so that's through some fortuitous circumstances turned into Sweat Capital, which I think is a great opportunity to introduce Dimitri Gremos, who's going to be, already has been sort of over the past few months, pretty pivotal in getting us to where we are today.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, it's an awesome opportunity to be part of the team, lads. It's incredible what you guys have done, and I speak on behalf of the audience to say you guys have done an awesome job taking it from a passion project, something you guys just mustered up when you were butting heads at after school and uni, and just finding a way in the corporate world, and to where it is today is just it's gone far, but now it's what happens if we dial everything up to 100, which is really, I guess, what this rebrand is all about.
No, absolutely. No, it was pretty like the story of how we sort of met you is pretty neat, I think. Like is that and sort of coming up in a few weeks' time, IMARC. There was a large mining conference down in Sydney, which sort of takes place each year, and I don't know, Dimitri, I can't quite you might remember a bit more vividly. Do you want to?
Yeah, it was, I remember it was, we were so it was October last year at the ICC in Sydney, and IMARC, obviously you guys were down there on air at IMARC doing a few podcasts, and actually on the second day, I remember Charlie was on a panel talking about trying to say something, but he was talking. It was
clearly resonated.
Yeah, he was talking about. Yeah, it was about the basically the ways that young people can break into the mining industry, and essentially the talent gap that was existing, and how difficult it was for the industry to attract good young talent. And some of the things that were discussed just really resonated, and I decided to just go up and have a chat to you guys afterwards, because I thought, had some really good insights, and I thought, these guys seem to know what they're talking about. So, and from there, I guess I was attracted as well because you guys obviously doing your podcast, and my background in podcasting and everything I did beforehand, just could give a quick rundown on that as well. Just
that'd be great.
Yeah, so it was.
Because to be honest, mate, I didn't know due diligence on you.
Charlie came running over to me, mate. You got to meet this bloke, Dimitri Gremos. He's working at Tees, loves his podcasting. Got to meet him, mate. I was like, oh wow.
I think the only other thing
onto something here.
The only other thing I knew was that you were doing this handshake with the security guard of the.
Good bloke to know.
He was a good bloke, but So I guess my background is obviously a Sydney boy. You guys are both from Brisbane, but Sydney boy. That's hence why I was at the conference. But yeah, commerce and law at USyd, similar position, very like same age as you guys, and yeah, sort of finding my way, a few different corporate roles, tried my hand at a few different paralegal jobs, bit in finance as well. But majority of my time studying, on the side was working for Mark Boris, producing his podcasts, Straight Talk and The Mentor. So yeah,
cracking podcast.
Yeah, it was a good show. And Mark's an awesome guy. Learned so much from him and the whole team. Everyone that I work with over the couple of years I was there as a digital content producer. Tight knit team, producing a lot of content very regularly, and obviously like extremely high quality as well. With the shows winning many awards, so it was an awesome learning environment, and that really shaped my understanding, my learning of how to run and how to, I guess, optimize a podcast studio, how to optimize a show, and then obviously the commercialization and monetization that stems off from that. And it seemed to time up really well. You guys, at the time on that Wednesday that we met, the second day of the conference, got talking about the show. Then we caught up again the next day, talked a bit more about sort of the direction you guys were heading in. And it felt like you guys were at a bit of an inflection point. And in that you had done it for, at that point, a year and a half or so. And it was really about how can we then now, we feel like we've hit a bit of a ceiling in terms of maximizing this as a passion. Now we want to say, okay, if we really go all in on this, we start going into socials, start building out more of a community, in-person events, and we start really having a crack. What could this look like in the next 12, 24, 36 months? So, yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's a good time to sort of, go through. So why do we call it Sweat Capital?
Yeah. Well, I guess I don't know. To be honest, I'm still not sure. No, I'm kidding. Look, Dimitri, you're probably best place to start with this because you had pretty unique perspective, sort of coming into the show, and then sort of helping us form some of those initial thoughts around what we could make of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, from my perspective, what appealed to me most when we were in discussions about me coming on board as a partner of the show, what I found most compelling was that you guys were in this young 18, you guys represented the 18 to 25-year-old young corporate kids who wanted to really find their way. And I feel like that's, as we can see in the data, that was the majority of the listeners as well and the following that you guys have built online. And I thought that was actually where the opportunity lay. It was, no one is really representing that demographic. Now, when it comes to that demographic, you guys obviously have the opportunity to, and have already spoken with lots of people, very influential, very successful in the corporate world, business world, and everything in between. But really what it comes down to is when you're a young person, it's great to get the advice and all the insights from all these people who have had such incredible lives and careers. But when you're a young person, you're like, okay, that's great. That's amazing. I feel inspired. But what's the next step? And I feel like that was the area that this show could really be, exploring more with more clarity, with more direction. Because when you're a young person, 17, 18, first year uni, second year uni, you're trying a few different corporate jobs like all of us did, and you're trying to find your way. You don't really know much about what's going on. You don't really know the lay of the land too well. You have a lot of energy. You have quite a few ideas, but you don't really have any skills per se. You don't really have a network. You don't have any expertise that you can draw on or too many runs on the board, really. So what you do have, though, like we say, is your sweat capital. So it's all about then, okay, if I'm this young kid, where can I then deploy that to have the best possible return in the future for myself and for others? And that's really where we want to position the show, and which is what we've been working on for the past few months in the background, this rebrand of, okay, we've got this great base to start from, over 100 episodes, and you lads have done a cracking job just flying all around the country, just doing this in your days off. The odd uni class was missed, I'm sure, in the middle of it.
Plenty of uni classes.
I've never missed a uni class in my whole life.
I think Charlie hasn't been to one in the last 2 years.
But it was, so you guys have done a great job getting to this point, just, really just, working it out as you go. But now I guess we want to come in and say, okay, let's see if we can really just maximize all the areas of the show, like we said before, add in all these other areas, and with this new clarity of direction, targeting that, this like we said, this 18 to 25-year-old next generation of business leaders who are really, trying to find the way that they want to, make a difference in their careers.
Absolutely, and in doing so, I think one thing I've been very conscious of is We think it's also, as much as our target audience is the 18 to 25 year old audience, and we're going to be very deliberate around how we deliver the content to that segment, we think there's probably a lot of value for people who aren't necessarily within that audience as well to understand the thought process and some of the key issues driving what is probably going to be, the most influential body of people over, the medium to long-term horizon. So it's we can see a few angles, and so if you're not in that 18 to 25-year-old audience, the show's still going to be incredibly valuable. For sure. But it's really for us being very deliberate about what segment of, the podcast audience and podcast landscape these days. There's that many podcasts out there. How can we most authentically speak to people, and that's probably from the perspective of ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And it sort of goes back to why we started the podcast in the first place, Charlie. I mean, we were second year uni students. I was studying law and economics. You were studying economics and commerce. And we sort of had no really idea what you do in like an accounting job or what you do, in investment banking or in funds management or anything like that. I didn't even really know what a law clerk did, and at the time I was working as one.
Yeah.
I had tensions with you. So bringing all those conversations to you guys still. We're going to be still recording interviews with these, influential figures. It's going to be more targeted at that audience. It's going to be a lot more content as well. We feel as though we can sort of harvest more of the stuff we do in the interviews, more clips and everything, which again was driven a lot by Dimitri coming on board as well, and his skill set.
Anyone who's taken a look at my Instagram will know pretty well that, I'm not necessarily...
Not a big poster.
No, and when I do, there's the odd blurry photo that could have been better presented. So, no. And I do think that is ultimately so a big consideration in what we're doing is a lot of the content we produce historically has been great, but in terms of deliberately democratizing the availability of that content in flows that are going to be seen by our audience, that's probably the biggest opportunity for us, and providing modalities for those people to engage with us that haven't necessarily been there in the past. So we're incredibly excited by that.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's like, it really comes down to, we are still in that, 18 to 25 bracket. We are literally the audience. Like, so it really comes down to what would we want to listen to if we were, first year uni? What's the show? What are the interviews? What are the questions that we would like to ask, the top dogs really at these firms that we want to work at one day? Yeah. What is it that we want to know from them? How can we backtrack from there? That's really what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're on the journey with our audience, which is why it's a great part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I think with that comes a certain degree of access that I think these listeners of Sweat Capital are very much almost. I don't want to call them shareholders because we'll probably have people coming after us if ever we have any commercial success. Yeah. But that's almost how we want them to feel, and the ability to have access to us, to our guests in ways that we haven't provided before, and that I think is quite powerful. Yeah.
So we've been doing a lot of work in the background to try and do that in the best way possible. And there's going to be a lot of hiccups where there already has been, I'm sure there will be, as with anything, with any growth period. But it really comes down to just really trying to, first start obviously with the socials, get those, going. Going to be releasing a newsletter soon as well. And getting all our ecosystem essentially, because right now, obviously, the business of to date has been very much just a purely audio format. We're going to be introducing video as well, like Will mentioned, and
for
really
better or for worse.
There's a few listeners there. That's all right.
And that's really the strategy at the moment. Anyway, it's just to get better conversations, high quality, and really just spread the ecosystem that we're trying to build here.
Yeah, and we'll be updating our listeners monthly with an internal pod, sort of like this format, because I think it's important to bring you guys along for the journey with us. Because at the end of the day, we're tailoring our content more to you guys, so it's really important we get that sort of one-on-one engagement with you guys. So, we're keen for those episodes too, just three of us. having a chat about how things are going,
Yeah.
see what happens.
Absolutely. Well, so what a great idea. Have a podcast where you're just listening to Will, Chapman, Dimitri, and Charlie. Something that I've seen many people run away from. So yeah, let's see how well that goes. But
That's
no,
right, mate.
no, hopefully some good insights.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Look, I don't know. If there's anything else you guys thought we should cover off on with everyone, but otherwise, yeah, very much looking forward to getting. Or me personally, I won't speak on behalf of both of you, but I'm
keen as well, mate.
I'm very much keen to get stuck in.
Absolutely.